Tonight's show, we're talking about spiritual traps, and I'm answering all your questions with live readings coming up right now.
Does it look like a Devin or David?
David is his name. It's been so spot on.
And I don't know if you put it in the side of your end table or not. You saw like there's something in your end table that you this too.
My God, we're crazy.
Yeah, he's saying hi, baby girl. He's saying hi, baby girl. And is there significance with like image of a rose at all?
He would
Does that
always
make sense?
give me a rose.
Okay, so he's like doing one now. He's saying to work with some sort of like vibrational machine. Somehow a way to work with like machinery and vibration.
I work with horses, and there's actually some magnawave therapy that's vibrational.
Tell me something that he told you that came true.
Everything he's predicted has come true.
I just don't see it.
I mean, he doesn't have cancer?
It's very possible.
Allow yourself to hear yourself. Allow yourself to feel yourself. Allow yourself to talk to yourself. Allow yourself to respond to yourself. That's looking within.
You might encounter negative aspects of self, but that's a freeing experience.
Because then they start realizing that they can't think outside the box. And I say, if you can't think outside the box, then who's the stupid one here?
There's a reason why we're on this timeline. There's a reason why we've chosen to be in this awakening. I say we're going through a spiritual awakening.
So I don't just come on here and talk bullshit and repeat. I'm living this stuff.
In harmony with nature, in a mystical adventure, we're building on a culture.
Happy Thursday night, everybody. Welcome to the Cruisyverse. How is Mercury retrograde treating you all? Y'all blaming Mercury retrograde for everything? I know when things go wrong and Mercury retrograde wants to kind of show you the things you need to be focusing on. Let's just blame Mercury retrograde for all my downfalls, right? Don't be blaming Mercury retrograde for everything that's in disarray. It's exposing it. Be thankful that it's exposing it. So we didn't have LOL this morning, so we'll kind of, I don't want to say jam-pack this live show. I don't want to put all more burden on doing a live show because to make up for LOL, but Christopher was sick, so he's got to take care of himself, and we'll make sure he is taking care of himself. And so who's all chatting in the room here? We have, let me go back here, Noel Way, sister from another mister. Good to see you, Lolly. Linda Jane, good to see you. Lisa, Jennifer Cruz, my maker, good to see you. Greg Gomez, Nina, a wonderful mom, Nina is in the room. So if you guys want to book a question tonight, $15 for card pull, $20 for one question, $30 for two questions, and $40 for a live video with moi right here. So get the PayPal and Venmo links are in the description below. And please follow the directions. If you want to do a live video, it can only be done through Venmo because that's the only way I can actually respond to the payment to put the link to call in. Unfortunately, PayPal doesn't allow that. So, Erica Emody, good to see you. Lisa Cruz, good to see you. Manda Moose Mountains. Interesting name. Love the name. Good to see you. AC, hello. Iggy, can't you see? And he says, thanks, brother, for the LOL PSA earlier today. It was long overdue. Tell me about it. I've been constipated about it. Eventually us Aqua is going to have to just take the lead at some point. So, and that's what Pluto in Aquarius means. So a lot of us Aquas are going to be speaking out. Maggie Ufodi, good to see you. Brenda Zweck, hello. Daryl Blinkenship, brother, how you doing? Angie Russell, Chris Strickland, hello. And who else is chatting over here? I have to scroll down. Kelly Stranko, good to see you. Welcome aboard. Colette Love, good to see you. Benjamin Rumpel, Sarah, good to see you. Hello. BL. Oh, I love you too, Beth. Good to see you. I love the love over here. Rhonda, good to see you. Rhonda says, happy Thursday. Thanks for looking after Christopher Scott. We all need support from good friends at times. Absolutely. And even though friends, you guys can have support as friends, we also have to make sure we allow the support. So, Christopher runs Serious Joy. It's a big network and he has so much pressure and he's like, I got to be there for everybody. And it's like, and then he ends up not being there because he has to take care of himself. So it's one thing we as empaths always frequently have to learn, and put ourselves in check over. So yes, Cosmic Charlie, good to see you. Linda Jane, I think we said hello. I'm not sure, but to see whoever's chatting in the room. And those of you who are watching, welcome aboard. I can't see you. You have your privacy. Just could see who's ever chatting in the room here, so that's good. And Mercury retrograde got me kind of stumbling a little bit, and it's showing to me that I need to slow down a little bit too. So, for example, I look Amish today. It almost looks like a kind of a Wolverine look because I went to go trim my stash and the guard was like not even on. So I was like, I'm like, oh no. So instead of shaving the whole beard, I have this Amish look today. So, couple days will be back to normal. So those of you who are new, I will start with the collective read. I utilize tarot and oracle cards for the collective read. I don't necessarily need to use tarot or the cards because I'm a psychic medium, but I love to use it in times like this for collective purposes and see kind of what the week lies ahead for us, kind of like a psychic surf report in a sense. And then we'll get to our topic. Our topic is spiritual traps. We'll get into the different modalities of the spiritual environment that's been causing a lot of, I would say, people to be trapped in their spiritual evolution and not really kind of moving ahead. So we'll get into that too. And then we'll open up to live readings as well. So get your questions now because at some point we'll close them down. And it is first come, first serve. Okay. So let's shuffle these cards and see what we got for today's collective read. Okay. Give me a moment because I also need to kind of exhale on my own energy. Like, do you, boo? Right, Erica? Like, do you, boo? Okay. Okay, let's see what the message is moving forward for the collective for probably the week, we'll say. The week. Oh, it's falling out here. Okay. All right, and we also have the holidays too. So as I'm shuffling, we also think about the holidays and how to treat it. I think we could talk about the holidays as well. Sydney Aaron, good to see you. Welcome aboard. Okay. All right. So this is very contrary to the season of giving. Because as we know, December, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you all celebrate, it's always a giving nature. And, the message is quite the contrary. Because during this time, and it's not to say don't give gifts as you please, but it is time now to really start focusing on your own value in a sense of that you're preserving what you are giving to people, you're giving it to yourself. It is cliche as far as the self-love, but we need to start analyzing how much am I exporting for people. So this is kind of like actually on par we were talking about even with, Christopher being ill and so forth, but we all need to be doing this on individual levels and understand, are you just giving to people because you feel like you're entitled to give or because people are expecting on you to give? So you're just like phoning it in. And we think about the holidays in this sense, it's kind of like, I have to get gifts because that's what they expect me to do. It's like, but is it coming from the heart? So it's time to reflect now. What perspective, what state of being are you coming from when you're actually giving to people? What state of being are you in when you actually are giving or being of service to people? Are you doing because you feel like you feel guilty if you don't do it? Well, if you're coming from a place of guilt, you better not start giving from a place of guilt because then you start creating codependency for those that are relying upon you to keep giving, and that cycle will never end. You'll be on that kind of loop of giving, they expect, giving, they expect, and the minute you don't give, then they're going to blame everything on you and so forth. So you don't want to feel the guilt in able to be a giver. You want to be giving because it's part of a natural process, because giving has to be an attraction. There's got to be an alignment to giving too. And so a lot of times the universe say, give to this person as they will be appreciative of it. You'll help them and you'll get the pleasure and joy from seeing them grow and be helped from what you've given. That's how giving should be. There should be an alignment to giving. Just giving things away just because you just have to, you're actually creating codependency and you're not going to be able to get anything in return. It's just like you're giving out free energy. And usually when we get out free energy, what happens is we end up burning ourselves out. We end up actually running ourselves dry, that we have nothing else to give. And it causes us to be more jaded because I keep giving to all these people. I keep showing up and no one's giving anything back. And so I always kind of use as an example that you're going down to the mission and you had a bag or a briefcase of money and you open up that briefcase and just let the money fall out and let people come and run and grab all the money they can from that briefcase. Do you think that they're going to give anything in return and give any money back to you? No, they're going to fight with each other, grab that money and run away. And thankfully that you grab that money, you're not going to get anything back. So, and the message here is not that you have to give in order to receive something in return. It's about alignment. It's about understand when you are giving to someone, is it going to be valuable to them and also valuable to you too? Otherwise, it's just dumping out energy. And so I have been mentioning for quite some time the term spiritual Karens, and there's a lot of them lingering around because they come into the spiritual communities and they think they have to tell people how to behave because it's all about being positive, and if you're not being positive to make them comfortable, they have to judge you for that because we have to be positive to spiritual communities, when really they're just trying to control things because they're not comfortable outside of their own box, right? And so there's a lot of people that will bring that guilt to people and bring that guilt to you, or bring that kind of feeling like you're being judged and have to pacify them, which will create more of that codependent energy. We have to be perceptive of these things and who's in our lives manipulating us. And a lot of times people will use spirituality in the name of spirituality to make sure they're actually manipulating you to get what they want from you and for you to behave in a way that makes them comfortable. And with Pluto in Aquarius now for the next 19 years, that ain't going to happen anymore. That's not going to fly. Because those who are coming out and being manipulative are going to be called out. You're going to be exposed. You're not going to be able to any longer in the age of Aquarius to be able to justify your neediness, your judgments. That's not going to happen any longer. And so now for those on the other end of the spectrum, it is very important now during this time to be very self-contained. And self-contained in a way of saying like, okay, but what is really my value and what is my exporting of that value mean in a sense of helping others on a true level, on the real level, not on a level of codependency, but on a level that's going to really help people and inspire people and bring great change. Because this is how we really kind of create, I would say, our financial wealth. People say, financial abundance. I don't like that term. But we create more of a financial abundance and financial flow when we're focusing on something that's valuable for ourselves and we export that and people find that to be valuable too. That's where the financial abundance really kind of manifests, is from that state of value. And the only way that you to understand what that value is to be self-contained at the moment. And right now, during even Sagittarius season, we have to understand that we have to understand where our core purpose is and where we are coming from the core level. This is the roots that I've been talking about too, going back to the roots. And this way we can really kind of understand the energies that we do align with, that we do resonate with, and we're no longer just pacifying people any longer to make people feel comfortable. Because now it's time for even you and also those other people to be a little uncomfortable. And that uncomfortable energy is actually the only thing that's going to break you away from the mundane, from the routine of deprivation, from the routine of being judged, or the routine of being made to feel guilty and all those negative emotions. Being uncomfortable is going to help you to uplift yourself from that comfortable pattern, which is actually uncomfortable, the comfortably uncomfortable state that you've been in, and allow you to start really being more of a dictator of what you decided to align with and what you're deciding to dance with in life, so to speak. So this is a very important time to also focus on your own craftsmanship anyway. Excuse me, I've been having sinus issues for quite some time. That's why I'm leaving the desert, because I'm sick of having sinus issues. So I will be moving next year, because if you guys always hear me kind of choking on my own saliva when I'm talking, it's because it's my sinus infections have been just brutal out here in the desert, and the air quality has been horrific. So I apologize if you keep hearing me kind of, with the mucus in a sense, like that. So excuse me. Back to what I was saying, is that focus on your own craftsmanships. What are the things that you enjoy? What are your skill sets and talents? And when you're focusing on the things that you're really good at in life, you will understand that you start kind of appreciating it more. You start preserving it. You start finding the value in what you're doing, and you wouldn't allow yourself to be devalued. And if someone is devaluing you, you just look somewhere else and oh, well, that's their loss, right? This is important now in the next week to be really focusing on this now too. And don't let the holidays be an excuse. I just have to give. I just have to get them a present. I have to give to people because it's the holidays. You don't. Give hugs this Christmas. You don't have to exhaust yourself financially to prove a point that people need to have presents for a very commercialized holiday. Create something, bake something, right? Create a meal for somebody. Offer to do something to take them shopping or to take them out for a hike. Do something that's very meaningful when it comes to connectivity. Do something different this holiday season, because you're making a point that you're breaking out of that mundane routine of expectation. That you're no longer pacifying expectation from others, from society, and it's time to start breaking those molds, because with this age of Aquarius, I would say, if you're not in alignment to that momentum, times will get rough for you. Times will get rough, and times will definitely show to you, yeah, well, you want to exhaust your finances on this lover? Well, they're going to actually steal from you. Something's going to happen to really get you to wake up and snap out of it, right? So it's time now to start really being careful about this now and redirect. And let's pull some oracle cards. And I'm going to keep this short too, this collective read. Sometimes I tend to be overly philosophical or want to be overly philosophical about something, and it really doesn't require that, this message, you know? So, what does AC say here? All deserts bad on sinuses because I live in humidity and my allergies are extra here. It really depends, like on the pollen, you know, because it's the dust out here that we get. You know, it's windy out here too, so that just lingers in the air, and you know, the air quality is just poor. They spray the skies here like every other day. You see the lines in the sky. So whether you believe in that or not, I wouldn't say I was a believer in those sea trails. But when you live in a place where the skies are all open and you're just laying out, seeing a beautiful clear sky, and all of a sudden you see these lines being drawn in the sky and all these X's being drawn in the sky, and about an hour later, the whole sky is filled with haze and dust, and you start sneezing and coughing. It's the experience that makes you believe in that. So, so I'm just noticing that happens out here quite frequently. So, and you know, probably in massively humid, you know, areas too, depending on, you know, your person, you know, a lot of the pollen could also be getting to your allergies too, right? And things in bloom and all that stuff. So, so yeah. All right, we're shuffling the oracles. I'm gonna see what the oracles want to add in conjunction to the topic here as well. Right. Guys, this is going to be very cliche, but this is really important right now because I really feel like a lot of you guys are worrying too much about everybody else. And I feel like a lot of you guys, especially within the collective, are so concerned about how others are receiving you, how others are hearing you, how others, what they're expecting from you. It's time to break that down, you know, because even with that nourishment, you find your peace within the self-love, right? This is what the oracles, very simple, right? Let's be so cliche. Let's be so bumper stickery about it, shall we? But to intellectualize that more, it's like when you're constantly being, you know, concerned about how others receive you, and you're constantly concerned about how you should be showing up for other people, ask yourself this question: who's showing up for you? Who's showing up for you? And most of the times when I pose that question to people who are just giving all the time, they say, I don't know, like nobody. I say, well, that's the problem. And so we first got to show up for ourselves and understand what we need in others so they can show up for us. That brings balance to our relationships. And that does come from that inner peace and the nourishment of the self and self-love that we talk about. And, you know, self-love has been overly used and overly cliche in the spiritual communities. Oh, love yourself, self-love, more of self-love. And it's like, ugh, what does it even mean anymore? It's like lost its value. But you have to dictate what self-love means for you. And it means like, what are you not putting love into when it comes to yourself? For example, if you just weren't bathing, clearly you're not putting love into your hygiene. So you'll probably have to start putting love into your hygiene so you start smelling better, right? On a simplistic level. But if your relationships are so demanding on you, well, then clearly you're not allowing to yourself to put love into your own protection and boundaries of care, of distraction, of distortion, of drama. You're not putting love into keeping yourself protected from those things. That's self-love. It's not about loving ourselves and hugging ourselves. I've been saying this for a while too. But when we're finding ways, and I think that the loop that we get into that's very dangerous, the trap too, is that we find value within how we're helping others. We find value in how people respond or validate us because we're there for them. But when you really take a step back, you're like, are they really validating me though? Are they really kind of, you know, addressing what I need on the level 2 in this relationship? People probably say no. They're not. And so this is what we need to take a stand for. This is what we need to take a step back for and just preserve our energy, be more in isolation mode, going back to the roots of who we are in the core and finding out what the true value that we bring to the table and what we deserve in return, if not more. And that is what this next week ahead is really about. And again, it's very simple. It's a reminder. This isn't a philosophical chat. This is a reminder of where we're at right now. And then you'll start recognizing the true connections in your life, or you might even start realizing there are no true connections in my life. And so I need to start finding some, because that ascension and realization is a choice. And so even asking yourself, what am I really choosing right now? Am I choosing, you know, this kind of guilt energy all the time? Am I choosing to have to be always matching other people's expectations? And I always say too, we have this invisible audience in our minds where we think that we have to be a certain way because this invisible audience we've created in our minds and how they're going to respond to us. And really that audience doesn't really exist. And, you know, And when you think about an audience, there's a spectrum of audiences. There's people that are going to love what you hear, people that don't like what you hear. So you have to also identify which audience are you even talking about, in a sense, when you're thinking about those levels of expectations. So this is the week for this. This is the week to make sure that you're coming to terms with that centered approach. And what that centered approach really means is stop exhausting your value. Stop exhausting yourself for others, and stop allowing yourself to be at service and at the beck and call of other people's expectations. Because people who are really successful, they want you to be successful. People who love you want you to love you too. People who don't love you are going to make sure that you feel guilty to put more love into them. Those are people who are very selfishly minded people. So it's time to start calling it out, picking it out, and moving forward and preserving your self-worth and self-value for those who really deserve it. And so you also have the yin and yang of your life of give and take. Because even when we have these relationships, it will stall us in other areas in our lives. If we're deprived in our relationships and we're giving so much in our relationships, we'll start behaving that way, even in our work relationships and how we interact with people overall. And so many people say, well, I don't know why I'm not getting recognition at work. It's like, well, because you're just meeting everybody's expectations and doing things that you're not required to do just so you can get the attention. You're just being taken advantage of. So no one's really going to put you up on a platform, and so holding on to that value and recognizing that value is a choice. So ask yourself this question this week. In which direction do you really want to go in what you're doing, what you're good at? How do you want to express it? How do you see it to be valuable? And how would you like others to find the value in it too? Right? So, what is James saying? I did sometimes get distracted by the comments. You look like a skinnier version of a pro wrestler named Tyrus. Great, a skinnier version. I don't know if I'd call myself skinny. I'm 190 pounds, 5'9". So I don't know if I'd call it skinny. I got a big badonky donk. Maybe it's a good camera angle. But yeah, I am not skinny. I'm quite thick. Unless you're talking about because he's on steroids and I'm a mini version of this, and yes, look at, Cuddle Wind Dragon. Sorry, the font is small on my screen. Mind playing tricks on you. Let me tell you something. You got to understand how the mind is working. You have to understand how the mind is playing out, right? Because we are in control. We don't have to just by default feel something like I'm going with it because I think it. We can take a step back and be objective with what we're thinking and question it. I think the problem is we're not questioning it enough. We're not questioning enough what we're thinking, what we're feeling. We're just going along with it by default too. I feel this way. I feel like I just have to be there. It's like, there's a fine line between intuition. There's a fine line between, your actual, intellect that's kind of coming from faulty logic from your past. So you got to ask yourself, am I feeling this because it's intuition, or am I feeling this because it's just a pattern I've been succumbing to? You should take a step back and ask yourselves this. When your mind is playing tricks on you, it's because you're letting it run the show, So, all right, let's get into the topic. I don't want to overly make that overly complex, that message, because it wasn't intended to be. Let me take a drink here. And let's talk about the spiritual traps. Because I've been talking a lot about kind of the modern new age bullshit. And I don't know what music is even playing right now. But the modern new age bullshit. The first spiritual trap we can think about, and these traps are designed to be spiritual, but they're also preventing one from being, they're preventing people from evolving actually in their own spiritual conquest. And the first spiritual trap is that toxic positivity crap, right? The toxic positivity crap of think positively all the time. Just be positive. Just be positive. Oh, don't focus on the negative. Be positive. That's a trap because the greatest messages and wisdom you can find is through the negative. And when you find yourself focusing on the negative, we judge ourselves. I shouldn't be thinking about that. But let me just put it on the rug. Let me reshift. You're not allowing the negative and the shadow version of yourself to breathe, to bring a realization to who you truly are in totality and what things really need to be changed. You see, the spiritual conquest doesn't mean that you have to be spiritual all the time. Let me think spiritual all the time. I gotta be positive. That's my spiritual conquest. Do you think that you've descended, and fallen from spirit reality to incarnate just to focus on positive things all the time? Do you think that was our spiritual journey? Or do you think that we have a more complex journey of exploration? Because thinking positively, well, what does positivity really mean, actually? Just thinking good thoughts all the time? Or because we think it's, I would say, being positive is actually to me, a component, like a male-female component is a positive and negative component. So a positive thought can be, well, I'm going to stay with my abusive boyfriend because I love him and I believe he can change. That's a positive thought. How's that going to work out for you? But what one might classify as a negative thought is, I got to break up with this boyfriend. He's abusive and fuck him. I don't deserve this anymore. And then spiritual people say, that's not very positive. But actually, that decision will render a more positive, empowered outcome than just saying, I love him and I understand what he's doing, even though he's abusing me. He can change. That's a positive thought. But how is the outcome going to be for you if you follow down that path of positivity? Horrible. Because the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? So we have many people in these faux spiritual communities saying, don't say that. That's too negative. That's low vibration. You know what low vibration is? Actually, and I've always been so repetitive about this, but sometimes I have to repeat it because some people need to hear it again or other people need to hear it for the first time. Low frequency is like a slow vibration. You know, a slow vibration. You know what happens when you slow vibration down? In meditation, you slow frequency down. So that's a low frequency. So people say, I don't want to be in low frequency. That's low thoughts, negative thinking. You're actually slowing down and lowering your frequency in meditation. That's what peace is. It's slowing down things. And when you slow down frequency, you're more perceptive. You can see things broader, right? And just as a slow frequency is at peace, what do you think a high frequency is? It's fast. High frequency can be joy and excitement. Yeah, woo, you, right? But also that can be angst and anger. Oh, fuck yeah. You know what I mean? So it's still high frequency. That's high frequency. So this two-dimensional bullshit of only think positive thoughts, only positive. Don't focus on the negative. Don't focus on the negative. High vibration, low vibration is a trap because you'll never really understand the totality of your being and your soul evolution, where you've come from, the karma that you're carrying, and how to resolve it. And also how to separate yourself from the bullshit and the real negative shit in your life. Right? So that's one of them. And another trap that coincides with this toxic positivity is what I call the manifestation communities, the faux manifestation communities. Oh, just focus on what you want and just write it down 100 times. And Iggy and I love to make fun of this a lot of times on the posts that I make. Just say 555 affirmations and it will manifest. It's coming. It's on its way. All that crap. You see, because what that community is designed to do is keep you complacent. Don't work for it. You're not thinking about it properly. You're not desiring correctly. So basically you have to keep practicing desire. You're not desiring enough, but then don't think about it, but keep affirming it. And it's just it's mind Olympics. You know what I'm saying? It's a very torturous state to be in because you're always saying, I want it, but it's not here. I want it's not here, but I can't focus on it not being here because it's there, but it's not there. It's like, it's mind control to keep you stuck. Once more, do you think we've incarnated into this very complex physical reality of life to just focus on what you want and focus on what you need to manifest? No, it's not why we came here. We didn't come here to manifest a house. We didn't come here to manifest a relationship. We didn't come here to manifest a car. It's not why we came here. See, what real manifestation is a result of you being in alignment. When you're following your soul purpose, you're connected to spirit, your own spirit, your spirit guides. You're connected to your own, I would say, trajectory in a sense, and what you've laid out, what's been predetermined, what's not predetermined, and you're in alignment to understanding this from the soul level. Well, then when you make your choices and you're in sync with that process, that's where things fall into place. It feels like you're manifesting. It's just the path is just falling into place. It's all reflective that everything is aligned and connected. That's what manifestation really is. And so the manifestation communities keep people more focused on getting things instead of becoming who they need to become. I got to get this thing instead of becoming who I want to be. And that's a huge spiritual trap. And the only way to become who you want to be is that you have to purge the things that you were from your past incarnation that you're carrying. You have to expel and express all the negative shit out so then you can actually make space and make room for the stuff that you want to bring in that's empowering for you, or things that are preferable, or things that truly represent your soul expression. So both the toxic positivity shit and the manifestation communities are actually prevent you from truly expressing yourself on an honest, true level. Because you're not supposed to think a certain way. That's a trap, a major trap. And I see a lot of my clients past 12 years that I've been doing, professional readings. Been a reader, of course, reading things my whole life. But many people falling because of these New Age communities. Okay. Another spiritual trap right? What was my next one? I just blanked out. We got toxic positivity because again, I don't outline anything for my live shows. I just go off and because I like to be more laid back and casual with my live shows, so I just kind of like wing it. What is the other? Iggy? Help me with this. What's the third one that was mentioned? I forget. So we got the toxic positivity. We got the manifestation communities. What's the third one I always mention? That's a spiritual trap. Oh yes. Okay. Sorry. Another spiritual trap is the healing communities. Now, this is not to say healing in itself is, I would say, a trap, right? But the healing communities that's complete only focusing and emphasizing healing. And a lot of the issues with this is not so much as deliberately a trap, but more so about the ignorance of what healing is there for and what it needs to be there for to and what it really is. Because healing is actually allowing yourself to shed the layers of the shadow version, but recognizing it, but also recreating, redefining the newer version. That's what healing is. So many people are making so much money about praying and going to healers and laying hands on them and just hoping that this energy somehow is going to take away their pain and take away their, and it's almost like we say those faith healers that I talked about before. There's another spiritual trap, because people think, oh, this person has this power to take away my problems, take away my pain. And it's like, no, in order to take away the pain, you got to reconstruct the pattern that created the pain. And you have to reconstruct the karmic pattern in order to dismantle the pain. Because once we realize the karmic lesson, then we start to heal. We no longer are carrying that kind of toxic energy anymore. And our behaviors change. Especially on the two-dimensional level, if you're eating like shit and wondering why you're having health problems, probably your healing is not going to help you. Going to a healer is not going to help you do so. You should be healed into thinking that you understand about self-love and be healed of the fact that you believe that you should not be treated kindly and that you should not respect your body. You should be healed from that intellect to focus on loving yourself and loving your body and appreciating yourself, to eat better. Then you will be healed. Because you'll be changing not just the patterns physically, but the thought patterns that create the disarray to begin with. So we got to be very careful about healing. And I've seen people who've been healing for decades. I've been healing for 10 years. What does that even mean? You've been healing for 10 years. I've been healing for 5 years. Well, if you're dragging yourself through the mud, I could understand that you might be healing for that long years. But when you cut yourself, does it not heal, in a couple weeks? If you bruise a bone, does it not heal in a few months? Spending years and decades of healing just means that you're still stuck, that you haven't changed anything. And a lot of these healing communities create these spiritual traps to keep you stuck into thinking that you're not doing the healing correctly. I'm like, healing is a result. Healing is a process that you obtain. It's a result of what you're doing that allows you to grow from the experiences that have been holding you back and depriving the soul. Big trap there. And another spiritual trap is religion. Religion is a huge spiritual trap that we're supposed to basically worship a deity, right? And we're not powerful. We are powerless. That there's this deity that's coming back to save the world, instead of us standing up and saving the world ourselves and contributing to our world. Religion has been one of the biggest spiritual traps for spiritual evolution. And I say religion, I'm talking about, of course, the fundamental religions, things like Buddhism, no, Kabbalah, no, those aspects I'm going to consider those religions as I consider them ideologies and philosophies that are very beneficial to growth. But like things like Christianity, Muslim, the Muslim, what do they even call that? I'm just stumbling my words today. The Quran, what do they call that religion? I've been brain farting all day today. But those types of religions that are about structure, about, the God and doing things in that element instead of understanding that God is within, those are a huge spiritual trap, because then we start judging ourselves again. We're less than, we don't have that power, right? And that we are, constantly having to abide by these rules that don't come from love, but come from segregation. It's a very divisive energy, a very divisive nature when it comes to these kind of controlled religions and so forth. The biggest spiritual trap, and the biggest one I've been a part of, was Christianity. Jesus is coming back. Worship, worship, worship. We're not worthy. I'm not worthy. And so it's all the self-condemnation that comes from a lot of these religions. Now, there's, of course, a lot of hybrids out there, that people who are generally tapped into spirit, and they're still Christian. So there's a lot of different, variables of that where people are being pure. But just fundamentally speaking, religion has been one of the biggest spiritual traps, I would say, in human existence when it comes to, controlling the mind and, repressing human evolution and human, progression. So, and those are just a few. Then there's many others too. So we need to be, kind of privy. Anything that takes power away from self is bullshit. Anything that's giving power away to something else, or anything that's telling you you're not doing it correctly, is bullshit. Because true spirituality shows you the way. Say, oh no, but do this. Focus here. This is good too. Where you're at is good too, but add this. And what you're feeling is great. Feel what you're feeling. Let's ride through it, but let's now expand it. Right? It's this and that when it comes to spirituality, not this or that. It's not like you can't do this, you got to do this. That's not spirituality. Spirituality is all the above. And those of us who have been, I have been, on my spiritual conquest for decades, since I was a kid, actually, with learning, growing, experiencing, experimenting, self-reflecting, healing in a sense, and growing, that the more I do grow, the more like everything just needs to be there. In the beginning phases, I was quite a little judgmental, like, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, shouldn't be saying that. Now it's like, it all has to be there. All of it has a purpose. All of it has meaning. Everything we experience is a teacher. But we have to know where we stand in that evolution. Like, for example, if you're in a stage like I am of being objective and unaffected, I could watch horror movies, I could watch trash TV, and it not affect me. There's a time and place to understand the psychology and be entertained by that. But some people are in your walks of life, those things affect you too much. Some of you can't watch a horror movie, can't watch trash TV because you'll be affected by that. Then understand where you stand and don't participate in those things. Don't surround yourself with energy you can't deal with or that you're too affected by. That will help you to understand how to preserve yourself. And then the more you do, and the more you give time and emphasis to what you feel that you need for yourself, your perspective will broaden. You'll see things a lot better for yourself and within other people in time. And then you become more objective and unaffected. Right. So once more, it's a constant state of evolution, not judgment. And we're all coming from somewhere, right? We're all coming from a certain place. We all have past lives and past incarnations that are not pretty. And that's intended to be that way. Okay? So it's time to embrace that now and understand that it's all about all that exists needs to exist. Everything exists but non-existence. And everything has to exist in reality and existence. So stop judging what exists and start finding your vibe. Start finding your rhythm. Start solidifying your own rhythm, no matter where it is. And it means that you're like me, where I like to dabble in so many different things because I can learn from so many different ideologies and philosophies and different groups. I love to learn because they're all part of creation. So if they're all part of creation, there's a significance for it on some level. So allow yourself to be more inclusive this way. It's a very aqua trait. So now that we're in the age of Aquarius, so it's good to adapt some aqua traits. You guys will find these aqua traits to be beneficial for your well-being, for your growth, and also how you can interact with other things in your life and learn from all these different aspects. You'll find the truth in the lies, because there's a lot of truth wrapped in lies, but you'll find the actual truth be amongst all of that. You'll be perceptive enough and your intuition and discernment will expand. So once more, find your rhythm. What is your rhythm? And again, your rhythm might go over here. It might go over here sometimes, might go over there sometimes. Allow yourself to explore that. Don't judge yourself of where your journey is leading you. And you might think it's a dark path or dark tunnel. You might recognize actually isn't dark at all. This is where I'm finding most of my inner thoughts or most of my strength is to this, what I thought would be dark, what I've been resisting to think about because of the law of attraction. Abraham Hicks says, don't think about the negative. So I can't do that. And so then if you don't grow because you're not exploring where your journey needs to lead you. And the minute you step without judgment, and the minute you step forward with complete expansion and understanding and have a point of view that I want to learn, I want to broaden my point of view to this, everything will work in your favor. And that's the true magic. That's the true essence of manifestation. Okay? Because we all have a purpose. We have a divine purpose. In each of our incarnations, we all have a divine purpose. And we came to be on a specific path for our divine purpose to grow and to learn and expand. And so when you judge yourself, you get yourself out of that divine purpose and into a modality of thinking that someone else created to make a couple bucks from you with these courses. Not all courses are bad. I'm just saying, because I'm about to create a course myself, but to really genuinely help you to be empowered. Okay. All right. Well, that's that little chat. Laid back today. I think I just kind of need to be more in a laid back element today too. So before I get into live readings, here's a wonderful message from Nina. Nina.
What's up, Thursday crew? It is me, Nina. I got a channel message for you. Okay. So the cards that came up was Wholeness. And I got this energy that Spirit and your guides are saying, you are already whole. Like all these things that you're trying to achieve to kind of get this energy of wholeness is just part of the track, but you are already whole, like without achieving any of those stuff. And the next card that came through was authenticity. Like you just being like living in your truth and living as yourself and sharing what you believe and how you feel and what you create. This authenticity energy, and she's holding like the pearl, like this like pure pearl energy. Like that is what makes you whole. You know, that is your magic. It's the magic card. That is what you're here to do. Like they're saying like to not look at yourself as fragments anymore, but more so someone who's already been whole this whole time, but is just doing life for fun. You know what I mean? There's a rhythm to it. They're saying there's a rhythm to you coming back on this lifetime and doing what you're doing. So kind of like Scott always says, like trusting the process, but also like trusting the rhythm and trusting that different parts of the song go through different elements, but the song is still a complete song and you're still a complete whole.
Yes, and I know there's going to be comments in there about being a complete whole. Iggy, I'm going to leave that up to you. Okay? And yes, and it's true though, because when you understand it's all there, and this is the thing that it's challenging as a spiritual leader, I would say, or mentor, to convey people, because we can say it's all within. We hear it, like, okay, I get what that means, but when you really discover that it is all within, it's changing the mind. When you know that, when we really know, it's like it is actually all within. I'm externalizing everything within me, right? When you understand that, you realize it is all within me. There's nothing outside that's really dictating anything. It's all being purged from my subconscious, from my inner being, and also from my evolution of my soul experiences. So please understand this, guys. Your spiritual journey is personal. There's no one size fits all. Okay? Everybody following the same modality of thinking and all stuff is not going to happen for you. It's personalized, which means dive into other pots, like I said before. And this is why, for a long time, I've been doing just one-on-one readings for such a long time, because, when I'm assisting my clients one-on-one, it's all personalized. Even when I'm helping them develop their own abilities and psychic awarenesses, it's like it's all personalized to them. It's no one size fits all in a sense. And so I will be working on a show called Psychic 101 for Serious Joy in January. It will be coming out, where I'll be doing a podcast about psychic development. So it will be generalized, and I'll be finding ways to have people to be relating to their own abilities and so forth. But it's so very personalized no matter what. So please remember that through your spiritual journey, it's a very personalized experience, and that one size doesn't fit all, and everybody is not coming from the same perspective. If you think of like we're in this hub of Earth, we're all coming from so many different points, perspectives from previous incarnations, that we all see things so differently. And it doesn't mean because we see things differently that one is right or wrong. It's just based on their evolution. It's based on the territory they're coming from and the experiences they've experienced previously. It's all correct. It's all true. So this is why I'm like, okay, but I still have to get some sort of course going on with that. So Psychic 101 will be the class, and I'm working with the wonderful Gwen on really kind of establishing that for January 20th. It's the starting of Aquarius season in the age of Aquarius, for an Aquarius. So it'll be a great part. It will probably be as long as the next year, I think I'll be doing it. So the Aquarius age, we'll talk about like development of your psychic abilities, what different components there are, and then we'll get into like the different levels of dark and light energy and all that great stuff to get you guys, if you have any questions about that. We'll get that going in there too. So I'm excited for that. And let's get to these readings now. Let's get these live readings. Okay, let me just pull this up too, by the way, because, I love that you logged in, but then it's like, okay, you've been sitting there for like 5 minutes. It's like, we got to log it back out. All right. First, we have, okay, card pull for Mrs. Noel Way. We love that. Oh, the 20th is your birthday. So you're a January Aqua. So you said you got the 2 in there. I'm 2-2. My birthday's 2-2. Which is 2282. Interesting. This is coming up again, mama. Okay. Okay, so I feel like this is something of the past that's coming again, Noel. So, 4 of Wands. This is my new home card. That has to happen. Okay, so getting a new home, moving, because I just like you're stuck where you're at right now. Like where you're at right now is kind of you need a better space. You need a space that's more open, more flowing, right? And this is the Wheel of Fortune coming in with change a new cycle too. So I think a new cycle does stem from a new location, a new home, a new environment per se. So I think in 2025, because I've been feeling that for you for a long time. Right, and it still hasn't manifested yet, but I think that you will find that more in 2025, and I think that when you understand your space right now is rather important, and your space of where you reside in your sanctuary is important for you now to bring better flow. But I think in terms of the fact that you have been personalizing more, your personalization has to be in the home now. Okay, it is your safe haven. I mean, you're Virgo, honey bunny. Virgos need their foundation the way they want to have it in a better space. So I've this came up before in a couple card pulls, and I'm like, I was saying it's all around the corner there. It still has to happen. That just might be the next phase of personalization. That's a big terminology they want to use is personalization. You're personalizing your life now, baby. Right, so let's personalize to the degree, and this is the stage where we want to get the car that we want to get. It is the house that you want to get. We got to personalize things because it's not the things that we're obtaining; it's the personalization that we're experiencing to understand. It's all about me now. It's all about me now. So yeah, so the 4 of Wands is also it's the move card for me, and the new home card. But it's also you finding the right home, the right sanctuary, right the right energy. The right rhythm of home, right? So all that great stuff. But understand that you've been feeling trapped for a while. They're also saying too, I'm just pulling a couple more. The Fool card is new beginnings. So obviously there's going to be new beginnings. And that coinciding with the Wheel of Fortune is just kind of indicative of change and new beginnings. So that's great. But the 2 of the 2 swords is like you've always been kind of in between energy. Like I'm not completely here, but I'm not completely there. Just you've kind of been this settling in this in between energy. But now it's time to focus on getting everything that you want and having everything that you want, that you need, energetically, emotionally, tangibly, physically, whatever you want to define all that to be, all that. So it's not. And if you look even with him, he's surrounded by all the cups. Like he's surrounded by everything that he needs, and he's kind of like. The foundation is keeping him safe, right? The foundation is keeping him content. So it's time now to start building those preferential boundaries, those preferential, what word do I want to use? Parameters. I would say boundaries is good too, but parameters. Like what is the parameters of that keeps you whole? That's the personalization we're talking about. So I think that's going to hit home more so too in 2025. So. Boom, yes, is correct. And yes, be prepping for it. But it's not so much about prepping for it, Noel, right? It's more about carving it out. Carving it out. So, and like really, it's almost like you're chiseling things out, figuratively speaking. You're like, okay, I'm going to chisel this out here. I want to add this a little bit here. I'm going to shape this here. So think of it that way, So that's good. That's good shiz. Okay, next up is Brooke C. She says, make sure my chat's up to speed here. Welcome to Real Time, James. Welcome to the skinnier version of that wrestler you're talking about. God, I haven't heard skinny since I was in my 20s. I'm thick. I got thick thighs and thick donkey dunk. I definitely have junk in my trunk. I'm Puerto Rican Italian. But I do photograph leaner, so that's good. So like on camera, I do look appear leaner, so I don't mind it. So, okay, Brooke C. I was dating a guy who checked off many values I'm looking for. It didn't work out. I'm bummed, but okay, because it just wasn't a match. Are you picking up on anything that I can do differently to find a partner with qualities that are in line with my values? Well, you just kind of said it. You just kind of said that. You just have to find out what your values are, actually. You know, because let me look at the past one, because I want to answer in a better way. Because let me look at what was going on with the... Yeah, your guy just saying you were focused too much on conditional values. Like, oh, he's nice, he's tall, or, you know, not he's tall, but he meets the physical parameters, he looks good, he has his job. Like, you more looked at the conditional parameters instead of the emotional values. So they're saying that you really need to start like thinking about personality though too. What type of personality are you looking for? And the personality can extract into, you know, sensitivities, you know, interests in that sense, right? Sensitivities in the sense of, you know, what are they compassionate about? Are they compassionate? How is it communication? Are they transparent? Right. So it's time to start looking at the emotional boxes and check those boxes and the depth and spiritual boxes, because they're just saying that you've been more conditional in checking the boxes. And you realize that's not enough. Right. Because the last guy, the personality just seems, you know, personality just seems kind of bland. You know, I feel like you're more enamored by the conditional surface stuff that like, but there was nothing behind it. Like there's no substance behind it, you know? So that was the real issue. So you got to go deeper with your preferences. And, you know, and I want you to think of values differently, because I think values tend to be judgmental too. I want you to think about like alignments. I hate to overly use that term too, but you know, what aligns with your rhythm and your energy? Matching. Think about matching. Not so much values and standards and prerequisites. Fuck that. Think about what matches me on the intellectual level, what matches me on the emotional level, what matches me on the physical level, what matches me on the spiritual level. Think about just playing that matching game for you and understanding some that's going to complement those different aspects of self and knowing yourself on that deeper level. So, you know, they just been saying that you've been too conditional. You've been too conditional. You know, and so working on and identifying that conditional aspect first. Okay. And I think you will. Like, I think in 2025 you will. You're going to stumble a few times this year, so you might have a couple meetings that are but it's just it's trying to bring out what I was just saying to you and realize that you got to go by vibe and feeling, not by checking boxes. Okay. So it's rather simple in that regard. So I feel like 2025, we'll have a couple dates that are like, yeah. Then you'll realize you got to go differently into like, what do I feel like? I want to feel the vibe of somebody. I kind of like their vibe first, and then going deeper into the alignments of those things. Okay. Okay. Next we have Sydney. Card pull for Sydney. Aaron. And again, get your guys, you want questions in, get them in, because when we're done, we're done. So we have a lot of times people straggle when I'm finished and tired, and we don't get them in. So if you want to get your question or card pull in, get them in now, because when I'm done, we are done. Okay. For Sydney Aaron. Oh, that chunk just fell out there. Oh. The moon and the stars in the sky. What is this telling me here? The Airfunk card keeps coming up a lot for a lot of you guys. Twerk it, twerk it, twerk it. I was twerking, actually. The problem is if I twerk, I release out some unnecessary air. Because of my badonky donk. This is interesting. I'm trying to think of how I want to pose this. And sorry, Nina, I think you sent me a message. I'll get that in a moment, Nina. Sorry, I was in thought at the time. I really feel like you're going to be calling out a lot of bullshit, if not already, or feeling the need to. It's not a bad thing. You don't always have to be intuitive in a sense. Like, it's okay to respond because of intellect too, right? I think you're giving yourself too much, like, how do I feel? What's my intuition? It's like you might be putting too much emphasis on having to be overly intuitive. It's like sometimes your rationale and logic could be justified. Like, I don't like that. Like, this person's full of shit, so I'm going to call it out. Like, I'm not going to just like hold that in anymore. I'm going to call out their bullshit. And I'm going to recognize that I have a voice about it now instead of letting it pass by or letting myself be too understanding about it. I can understand it, but I can also call it out too. I've been saying this frequently. A lot of people, and you're a Leo, actually, Sydney. So there's going to be a Leo Aquarius energy. You're going to be very similar during the age of Aquarius, almost like flip-flopping, but like coming full circle where we're opposite signs. However, Leo's a fixed sign too. Yeah, Leo's a fixed sign. Two opposite fixed signs. We're going to start finding commonality. So you're going to start calling it the bullshit too. Please understand this is part of your evolution. You do not have to make excuses for people anymore. You don't. And it's quite all right. When you understand that you can value the fact that you're calling out the bullshit. You can value the fact that you're actually standing up for what is correct and that you don't have to understand why people are doing things. The fact is, people just need a consequence for their actions and behaviors so they can learn, right? And that's going to make you feel like you're no longer, like you're going to feel like you're winning when you start doing that. You know, you'll stop the feeling of like, I've been losing my relationships. I feel like I just like always lose my relationships. That's going to go away because by standing up and calling it the bullshit, you're actually saying to yourself, I'm not continuing down this pattern any longer. And I'm not actually justifying and giving a benefit of doubt to these people that I've been giving attention to that have been depriving me of my relationships in a sense. Right. So that's where I feel like it's going to change your direction because you'll start being more like, nope, I'm not dealing with that shit. Nope, I can see it from a mile away now. Oh, this person's different. That's a different energy. That's a bright soul. I can feel that now, right? So it's going to change your direction with your relationships. So remember, guys, if you want your relationships to change, sometimes we have to start changing the way we're behaving, right? Action is manifestation. So if you behave differently, that's action. People think action means you have to hit the pavement. Action means that you can also be just, saying no to certain things, or action means like, I'm going to stand up for myself. That's action. That's changing action. Right. So yeah, it's going to be a huge change of your relationship. So if you feel like you're outspoken right now, you feel like you're just calling out shit, keep doing it because people need to hear it. And it's in alignment to the collective of people now being called out for their bullshit. We're not in the age of Pisces where, again, we just need to let people do their thing. Oh, don't give it energy. It's like, really don't give it energy because it's like when celebrities, they get really bent out of shape and go through dire emotional issues because of the hate they get because they're supposed to just ignore it. That's a problem. If it's affecting you, you can't ignore it. So those people who want to troll around and troll people both online or offline, because there's even trolls in normal world. When you just let it happen, the problem is you're letting that energy fester and you're holding on to the energy. And if it's affecting you, then you're not doing anything with it because like, oh, I'm not supposed to address it. Nope, you're supposed to address it. Take that energy, say, no, this is not my energy. You left this behind. Take this shit back. I'm sorry, you left this ball of energy, this shit of energy. Take it back, please. Right? But when you become ejected and affected, you're just like, oh, whatever, who cares, right? You'll get to that point. But many of you guys are in a point where you have to like give it back. You have to stand up for it and get rid of the energy. You'll get to a point too, to where you can actually say, oh, whatever, that's their energy, fuck off. You'll get to that point too. But sometimes you guys are in positions where you're being triggered by emotional deprivations and past situations that you're going to have to kind of send it back to sender, return back to sender. Because in this life, we are all passing balls of energy back and forth to each other. And so a lot of times people pass the ball, you catch it and you hold on to it like, what do I do with it? Oh, my life is horrible. And oh, God, what a horrible day I'm feeling. But that's okay. I understand they're in a bad space. Like, but you're still holding this fucking energy. And then you're holding that energy. It's like, well, I don't want to meet anyone else with that energy. So I'm not going to meet anybody at all. So you're, you standing up for the bullshit right now, Sydney, is you breaking free of that past patterns, the past bullshit that's been getting in the way of relationships, and that's allowing you to redirect it. It's almost like you're coming out of that box, you're redirecting. Okay? All right. Yeah, return to fucking sender. And I don't care if you're in the spiritual communities, the people who are in, and I'm going to keep being vocal about this for a long time because I see these spiritual quacks in spiritual communities, projecting such bullshit. And I will be on a mission of calling that shit out because it doesn't belong in our communities. So, and other people need a voice to stand up for people who don't like to be around that energy. We need to be starting to calling that out now. That's the change, because how else is it going to end? You know, we need to push them into the environment they need to be, or they need to be forced to grow, to learn, to fit into this environment. Inclusivity means that you're actually including everybody, but you're not allowing people to fragment that inclusivity because of their own bullshit and their own, you know, self-entitled energy, or the fact that they are just so fragile, they have to control everything around them so it makes them comfortable. That's fragmented bullshit. That's not inclusivity. So we need to start teaching these people that you need to evolve in order to fit in. Go find a community of people, like I said on LOL this morning. Go spend your time if you want to, you know, degrade people and talk about people's looks and hate on people because they're not doing things that you want them to. Go live in the Real Housewives comment sections. That's where that shit belongs. Don't bring it here. And so I'm going to be very, very on a mission for this, because we need to start evolving the spiritual communities to where we're actually being louder and we're standing firm in our spiritual essences that helps other people to want to join and to find their spiritual evolution too. So all you Karens that like to push your little stupid whining complaints, you're gonna be called out. And if not, just push off the platform. It's time to evolve. Time to evolve. God, the petty stuff. Can you believe there was a woman too? And this is, I'm gonna be transparent. There's a woman that was actually upset that we didn't do a show on Thanksgiving, blaming the fact that dear Christopher, like, oh, well, you didn't, you know, focus on your health, so that's why you weren't able to do a Thanksgiving show for Thanksgiving. So you need to get on it so you can do a show on Thanksgiving. And we're like, actually, we took off for Thanksgiving for our health and our well-being. And it's that energy that makes us have to take a step back. So I couldn't believe that there's such entitlement to people with free content. This is free content. If you don't like it, go fucking watch another channel. Go pay for content that you want to watch. Don't come around here and start to tell us how to do our content. We're doing it for free for you. This is the bullshit that these spiritual people feel entitled to. And once we start becoming a crutch, we need to start pulling the crutch away from them. So, oh yeah, I mean, there's a reason why I made that announcement this morning, guys, because there's been a lot of just even direct messages to people of complaining about things that, you know, it doesn't belong here in this community. And we need to start teaching those people that's not how we behave. We need to start teaching those people that this isn't what spirituality is about. We start teaching those people that that's inappropriate. All of us do. So you guys need to start speaking up too. Because when you turn a blind eye to these things, you don't want to create problems, you create more problems. You fester the problem. It's like you're fanning the problem, but you're actually fanning the flames even more. You know, it's disgraceful. So I peek every now and then in the comment sections, even on LOL. Thankfully, everyone who comes to my channel doesn't. All you guys watching me you guys don't tolerate the bullshit either. So you're in alignment to my voice. So I don't get that on my personal channel, but on LOL and on Serious Joy, there's people in there too that we need to start calling. That I've been calling out. You know, Serious Joy has a wonderful community of people. I would say it's like 90% of people in Serious Joy are amazing, but the loud ones are loud and contaminating. But such a wonderful group of people, Serious Joy, especially Unite the Light. We're doing Unite the Light next year. Sorry to go off topic here. But beautiful people. So powerful people in their crafts. I've met so many wonderful, intuitive people, you know, just finding out their abilities, right? And so we're going to grow that. And we want to replace that stupid 10% that just like drags people down with more of those up and coming with their abilities and so forth. This way, that 10% gets pushed out and they are forced to grow to fit back in. Ready for Unite the Light 2025. Yes, exactly. All right. Sorry, Sydney, you inspired more of a conversation from that. Okay, Chris Strickland. My ex of 5 years, 2006 to 2011, reaching out to me randomly, and should I give him attention? He seems sad, but I feel like if I give him attention, he will just assume I'm not honoring myself. Let me read his energy. Yeah. I feel like he's in need. There's a lot of lost energy around him too, Chris. So I feel like there's been actually a lot of blasts from the past. Actually, the past month or so, it's kind of been common because we're growing. So a lot of blasts from the past come out. So I think this is probably one of them. But he feels to me he's looking for like kind of like comfortable relatability and safe energy again. And I feel like I feel like he's leached off you before energetically, and I feel like he's trying to do it again, but not maliciously. Just feels lost. right? Oh my God! Right when I say this, I said lost. You said he's just a lost dog. So I mean, the synchronicity, the timing was amazing. So look, there's two things here. We need to show love no matter what. So we can show love to people, but not welcome them in too. Right? So you don't want to tell people like this to fuck off. He's lost. I'd say like, look, I'm in a state, you tell him I'm in a state of my life right now where I'm kind of like preserving my energy, my space for other people. And I'm really looking for people who can contribute in my life. And I feel like we've had a codependent dynamic that I don't want to reignite. But I'm here if you need any type of guidance when it comes to on a human level, and can direct you to certain resources that you might need, because I just feel like he's depressed. You know what I mean? And feels like when he's missing something, he's got to find something to fill, right? And so you might just want to encourage him and just give him a burst of encouragement. You know what I mean? But still keep your detachment from it. So it depends on what level of care that you have with this, or what level you are at of trying to preserve yourself, that you may not have to get involved, might not be your place to. So that's what you want to kind of do with that. Well, it depends on what you define as harsh. I think that if I read your presentation, it might have been direct. It's harsh because you know where he's at. You feel bad for him, but that's what's reeling you into him. You know what I'm saying? So, but he needs a firm no, because Chris, understand this, he doesn't get it. Right? So you could explain, but he just doesn't get it. So I think that you being firm is the way he'll get it. And quite frankly, again, I don't feel he's malicious. I feel like he's just trying to like leech off you a little bit right now to find a safe haven. And I don't think you deserve that. And so he's got to learn this. You could say it in love, but he's got to learn it. Doesn't mean we be like positive thinking. And so I love you. So come on in. I love you. What do you need? No, it's like, I love you, but you have to learn for yourself to fend for yourself and to not fill voids with people as you can at any moment in time. I got to fill this void. You got to learn to be okay with yourself. And so that's a wonderful message you can put in there too. Say, look, I'm being okay with myself, and you need to learn to be okay with yourself and not try to find ways to fill in voids anymore. And that could be a wonderful way that you can teach him and tell him during your, I'm gonna say rejection, but you're saying no. So no, he's in a space, like I said, he's lost in that sense, and he just needs someone that shows love for him, but saying no to him. He's also used to everyone saying yes to him all the time. I feel like he's in life just been spoon fed by people, and I think he's got to learn to not be spoon fed any longer, and to do for himself, if that makes sense. But yeah, he's not malicious. It's just he's out of balance. Okay, BBB Lesseur. 2 questions. 1, can I go to a Christmas party at a private home without being harassed by that church group? They will be there. I stopped going to their sponsored activities. Hope it's enough for them to leave me alone. I mean, you can, Beth, but I also feel at the same time, I don't know about harassed in a sense. I feel like this Christmas party is more open, right? So I think because this event feels more open and is not so like you have to be single, you can't be divorced. Like I feel like that's kind of open in a sense than other events. So I feel like this might be less of that prying energy, but I still feel like there's still that kind of gossipy, That's church life. I'm just saying that's what church life is. Church life is very judgy like that. I see it all the time. I mean, of course, there are churches that are not. They're smaller, sure, but majority of these churches are very judgy like this and culty like that. So you always experience a little bit of that. But I feel like this specific endeavor is a little less, I would say, of trying to like know about you than the other, I would say, events. So, again, I would recommend you find events outside of church, okay? This church is wackadoo, okay? So I would advise that you find, and again, there's other churches that are great, actually. So maybe find another church if you can, if you have one in your area. But this one in particular is really cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs to some of these people, okay? And the second question is, spiritual caring Christmas. Second question is, did my former try to take out an equity loan on my home? I get yes and no. So I think he might have inquired or tried to, but did not complete it. So yes and no. I feel like there was an attempt, or there's been some sort of looking into it, but I don't feel like at the current stage it's successful. Okay, that's successful. All right. So yeah, so find another church, find a different group of people who aren't wackadoo. Okay, and also, and that second question, yes, I feel like he attempted to, but I don't feel like he completed it or inquired about doing so. But yeah, so it doesn't feel like it was actually completed or saw through. You know. Okay. I know, I gotta find another name, because I would hate if they called spiritual Scots, so I kind of feel bad. I gotta find another term for Karens, because I know a lot of awesome Karens. You know, it even sounds funny saying that. I wish it wasn't so on a specific name, because I know Karens are amazing, that aren't that way. But, so I want to find another term for that, you know. Let me just check my PayPal too. And what is the question here? Okay, let me see. Nina has a question. Sorry, Nina, I didn't get to that. I was in the middle of a read. She wants to ask a question in the chat. I don't know if you know her or if she's trying to get a free question. Maggie Jane, Mary Jane's president, persistent, stop managing, wants to be I don't know. I mean, the way we do Maggie Jane, yeah, we do questions by Venmo and PayPal, and we don't do it in the chat. So yeah, if you want to get a question, and for the sake of everybody else to be fair, right, we have to do it the same way everyone else has done that. So, you know, if I gave a freebie to one person, I have to give a freebie to everybody, and that just wouldn't be fair for those who actually, you know, paid for their question. And so yeah, if you do want a question, it has to be done through PayPal or Venmo. That's how we do it. It's fair. And again, you know, it wouldn't be fair for everybody else who had actually paid to submit a question to do freebie questions. So I wouldn't honor that. In that way, because that would suck. They're like, well, why did I have to pay? Why did I get a free question? So yeah, so if you want a question, it would have to be done through PayPal or Venmo. Okay, let's go into, which makes sense. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense for people, right? Okay, next we have Angie Russell, card pull. And I don't know who Maggie Foodie is. Like, I don't know, like, the person behind it. I don't know if you are a client or if you are. So I don't know personally who's profile. I see, I think, a cat in the picture. So yeah, understand. I'm not knowing who a lot of you guys are. I've had clients that come on here, regular clients. I don't know who they are because I don't know the name. I don't know the picture. So I don't mind that because I love blind reads. So I don't know who you guys are personally. If there's like a generic picture or a name, I don't know who it is. Okay, so Angie Russell. Okay, Angie, what do the guys want to say to you tonight? Damn, Angie. Jeez, you got some powerful energy right now. This is somewhat emotional, I think. Let me show you the cards too. I love the Ace of Swords. You are swinging your shit around, okay? You might be coming into your own emotions. You might be coming into your own voice right now. So I really think that's awesome. So it feels like you might start becoming outspoken and not caring anymore about how people, it's kind of what we were saying with Sydney. You might be starting to speak up now, not really caring what the repercussions are because you have to speak the truth. So I do really find moving into 2025 more focus, more determination. The High Priestess card really, to me, is this really coming into your intuitive abilities, actually. So, the High Priestess can be psychic, medium, witch, healer, all those things. It's anything mystical is the High Priestess card in that sense. And so I think that right now you'll start experiencing projection manifestation, right? And what's really happening is because you're speaking your mind, you're speaking your truth, you're reading things correctly. So you feel like you put an energy out, it's happening. You're in that kind of that rhythm in a sense. So this is a really great shift emotionally and spiritually, because this is a very, emotional card, a very emotionally determined card, but this is also a very strong spiritual card. So I think it's really, really good time for you to put the balance between spirit and mind and intellect and emotion. So this is a great emotional read in a sense that there's going to be a great balance on this. And so that will push you forward into new projects. That will push you forward into starting something new, and so I really feel your voice being utilized more. And people kind of appreciate, like, whoa, don't fuck with Angie. All right, where'd that come from? So this is a great thing. And I really feel like you will hear a suggestion or a encouragement to write a book. I feel like a book is brewing, or a blog. Okay, something of that nature. Now I got the ping of pentacles. I see the reverse time I'm talking to. I got the ping of pentacles, meaning the king of pentacles. This is my practicality card. So this is reading two ways for me. One, I do feel like there will be a legal matter in the first quarter of 2025 that will also work in your favor, work in your benefit. And that could also be why this Ace of Swords energy, I'm not holding back. I'm fighting for what I need. So it doesn't feel major, but it feels like there's some sort of legality that works in your favor. Okay. But I also feel like you'll bring some more practicality in your life too. So it's kind of reading both aspects to me. So, and I think that would be great for you for like a little financial reward. It's almost like a test of like, you've been like, what? I was going to brush that little legal thing off, but no, I'm actually going to fight for it. I fucking deserve it. And then boom, it works in your favor. Like damn straight, so a lot of determination in that sense, but also allowing yourself to be practical this year too. So I got two reads on the King of Pentacles there. I used to want to be a writer. Well, that's going to come out again because now that you have this, High Priestess with the Ace of Swords conjunction, now you feel balanced. You're going to feel like, I got to get this out. I have this voice that needs to be used. I need to get this out. I need to write about this. Okay. So I love it, Angie. That's good. You got me excited. You woke me up, your energy. Okay. So it's not me out of my tiredness. So I really love that. Good stuff, Angie. So I would recommend start journaling, start journaling, or like a diary, right? Something that way to get yourself just kind of purging thoughts out. You're going to find like an inspiration, like that's a good thing to write about, or you'll find an inspiration. So I love it. And so you used to want to be a writer. Well, you still have that. It's still in you, my love. You'll see it's going to come out of you again. Okay. Okay, we have Felice B. Is that like Feliz Navidad? Feliz Navidad? No. Okay, I recently started to talk to someone I had a crush on years ago who is a close family friend. Okay, I was going to say a close family member, like, uh-oh. Throughout the past 10 years, I hadn't really thought about this person and was in a couple long-term relationships. A few months after my last relationship ended, my old crush started to show some interest in me via social media. He had also been in a long-term relationship as well, but I found out he had also gotten out of his. I'm not ready to be in a committed relationship, but would like to get to know him more, as I was too shy to speak to him years ago. I can't read the energy, and I'm not sure if this is something that can transpire into something more. Any insight? Sure. Okay, good. Gotcha. Well, again, here's another validation of what I predicted a couple of weeks ago, or even last week. I said there's going to be a lot of blasts from the past, right? And there's been a lot of blasts from the past happening the past couple of weeks. So I've been kind of warning people of that. And here we are. Here's a second one tonight, a question about a blast from the past. Let me read him on the personal level. Okay. And then let me read on where he's at. And then let me read the chemistry of it, quickly on that, so that we can see like where to go with it. Okay, let me just tune into him really quick. Got it. Okay. Here's two things. He has changed from a while ago. I think he sees things differently in relationships, in the sense of like being more open, not being so quick to judge. I gotta get what I want on all levels. I think he's been more open in that sense, but he feels needy to me though. So when I'm asking the question, like him reaching out to you, what is the premise of this? Is it like, hey, I've always, kind of had the hots this girl too, and I never did anything about it. I'm doing it now. So, I'm going to be blunt. I feel like he's reaching for things that are easy, accessible for him. You know what I'm saying? I don't care for that energy, but that doesn't mean getting past that energy that there couldn't be a dynamic, right? Because sometimes things can start off a shitty premise, but then end up actually turning into something. So I feel like it's kind of could be that way. But the problem I have with him is that he's too inconsistent. Right. And so what I want to help you to avoid is there would be a connection. but it'll be sometimes a connection here, then there's not a connection now, and where is he here, and now he's over here, and so I feel like there's a lot of anxiety that I feel like he will bring to the table. You'll get the interest from him. So if you play this well, maybe just have an interest to where it's like just a casual, a physical. But I don't think that with this energy that you'll be able to maintain just casual, that I feel like he'll kind of reel you in to where you think deeper. And then I feel like he'll be a little back and forth, hot and cold, you know? In time, possibly, like you'd have to like deal with that for like a couple years and maybe it will develop into something more. But you need to be on guard about this, okay? Because, you know, I can tell people don't do it and they'll do it anyways. But if you're going to do it, just make sure you're aware that there's going to be a hot and cold process with him. And there's a self-absorbed energy with him that, you know, but in time he could possibly snap out and be like, oh, well, I'm actually starting to fall in love with her. And so it's possible, but it doesn't feel like it's so certain in that way. Right. So definitely be on edge with that. And I don't feel like he's trustworthy in a sense that what he says he owns up to or what he says he follows through on. I don't think he's trustworthy in that sense, right? There's still a part of him that needs attention, you know, and likes attention from people that I think is still in his experience right now that, you know, might take him time to even grow out of that. You know, so you may get a validation like, hey, like I'm interested, let's hook up in a sense, but I feel like that might just kind of reel you in to where you might be wrapped up in something that will be very anxiety ridden, you know. So I don't think it's false hope. I just think it's that you don't need this. You don't need the validation from him. He's very attention driven, and I think he latches on to what he can pull from that's more accessible to him. So I don't like that about him. Okay. So I personally would just kind of ask yourself, is it really worth it? I mean, you've gone this long. Is it, you know, but again, there's still that possibility, but I can't predict that because he's not showing to me that he's changed in a way that's to sustain it, but it's possible that he might, but that would be in like a year or two. It would drag out a little bit. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Okay. We have Amanda K. Holt. Amanda K. Holt. Say that 5 times fast. Amanda K. Holt. Amanda K. Holt. Amanda K. Holt. Amanda K. We'll just say Amanda K. Yeah, encourage her. Well, slap me silly and call me psychic. And I like that you guys will validate the reads on here so people see that I'm not just talking bullshit. When you guys respond and validate the reads, I appreciate it. Okay, because it helps people say, oh, he's not full of shit. He's not just saying shit, not just being general. He's not just throwing out bullshit out there, you know. Okay, so for Amanda, okay. These people who are just like, you know, cynics just annoy me these days. They're just annoying. I would just like lets them talk shit, lets them like, you know, dismiss spiritual culture, and I'm just annoyed of that. People not saying anything, or we have to be tested to prove to them. How about let's have an intellectual conversation about spirituality with these cynic idiots, because they will fail. They will fail. First question I say to him, okay, this universe is very magnificent. There's a cycle of creation where our bodies are perfectly designed to process food, to digest, and there's so many different species, and all this brilliance of existence in life just exists for no purpose. We all die and forget about it and shuts down. What was the purpose of that? There's no higher energy that's kind of maneuvering and manipulating and reflecting on all this. Just all this magnificence for no purpose. There's no reason for that magnificence. That in itself just sounds stupid to me. Right, so that's where I start with cynics about that we're not spiritual. I'm like, where do you go from there? It's dumb. You're degrading the intelligence that we're experiencing right now, the depth of our experience. So if we're physical, there's a depth to where we're projecting from spirit, and so there's a rabbit hole effect with everything, both going deeper and going outwardly, inner and outward. Right. As above, so below. We hear all the time, right? So as what's below is also above. And so what is that above? And all because you can't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, you know? So, oish. I think skeptics are just becoming more stupid to me. Like, it's like there's no intelligence of expansion there. Just like, oh, it can't be measured, you know? Measure my thought right now. What am I thinking? Oh, you can't measure it. I mean, I'm not thinking anything, so I don't know what got me on that soapbox. Okay. Eric, are you in the room? Chime in if you're in the room. Okay, this is for Amanda. Sorry, Amanda, I was holding you out here. I love just facts. Yeah, I'm just a fax machine. I love this. No sucking up, just facts. I love you spell fact. Yeah, I'm a fax machine. Delivering some proxies over here. Okay, Amanda, another legal issue here. Let me read this more on these cards, because the Two of Pentacles in reverse is kind of like there's a issue regarding two aspects or two parties. The Knight of Pentacles is, having to, needing legal counsel and not being deceived by legal counsel, right? And Knight of Swords is kind of like, being patient with this process. So there might be a legal issue that comes up for you. You have to be more patient about making sure you're getting the right advice, getting the right counsel. And so, it might be a long, drawn out thing. Not something that's going to prevent you from living, but it's just something you'll just have to be in process of. It could be something family related, type of legality. You know what I mean? I just feel like there's other two other parties involved in type of thing. So it could be a family legal dispute or something that nature that you have to be very kind of patient on. And making sure that you're thinking outside the box and getting the right, I would say, legal advice. And yeah, the Temperance card comes out too. So if it's not a legal matter, it could just be an issue regarding family that's, an issue, that's getting in the way that between two other parties that you might be in the middle of. So if it's not, I would say specifically legal, it could just be the fact that there's just a disruption or some disagreement with family that you'll have to be patient to make sure you're kind of being unconventional in your approach with it. But I do got on the positive note, the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Cups. So I feel like there's going to be a year of fruitful energy. So the Ten of Pentacles is it's a happy card. So I don't like to be sounding cliche or just general. But I feel like there's gonna be a lot of changes for you next year too. You're gonna find more happiness in things, more fruitful rewards in what you're doing. So I think this undercurrent, this family legality or whatever that I'm sensing of that kind of disagreement is a way for you to kind of say, I'm not pacifying this anymore. I'm not really gonna start appeasing people any longer. I'm not responsible for being in between things anymore and being in the middle of things anymore. That I'm really kind of I'm leading on a new foot now. And so these are one of two great of the wonderful cards, and especially the Fool card even coming with that too. So we can see new cycle, new beginnings, happiness, and really living for your true happiness and finding that harmony, with things in your life, generally speaking. So I think this legality or this issue with the family that you're being in between is going to emphasize and to catapult you out into thinking of, I'm tired of being in the middle. I'm over it. I'm done with it. So yeah, so please don't feel like you have to be responsible just because it's family, too. That would be a great, change for you as well. But just a general reading with 2025, celebration. Look at this. Just keep flying out too. The celebration, the Hermit card, so you'll be, and this is again, so whatever this family issue is, right, is kind of like you involving with two other people. Building a not family at my place. So I guess that could be one something. I don't know. I don't know if I'm reading it correctly, but whatever this is, there is some sort of agreement in the end. So this is the two, are saying, and you in the middle. So Three of Cups is a celebration, but this is also referencing the three of you. So there's two people and you in the middle. So there's a celebration. So there's a good ending to it. Right. And then the Hermit card is really kind of focusing on the self too, and just kind of being more in your own energy. You know what I mean? So yeah. And they just keep coming with the cards for you here. So, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so whatever's fragmented with that family issue, the two people that you're in the middle of becomes, or if it's just the three people in a sense, that becomes it resolves, And I also feel too, this is with the Five of Pentacles in reverse, this is like finances being restored, right? So financial issues also coming to a better circle, right? And love, relationship, right? So maybe love, your romance and your romantic life will take more of a precipice or more of a lead too, moving forward, where you can actually focus on love, and romantic relationships. So maybe that would be something, or if you're in a relationship, it heightens as well. So great. So this is great. So it's almost like you've probably been, not that you've been poor, but like you've probably been struggling a little bit, or finances have kind of been like, not where you wanted to be, but they're changing. You're starting to see the kind of things the grid starting to fill in that sense. So that's great. Okay. Yeah, and again, same thing with you, Amanda. It's almost like you're finding your voice too. Like this is similar to the others, right? Like as if you're finding your voice too. So, okay. Sarah, my love, I don't have a question, so I guess card pull. Okay, that's fair enough. Simple enough. And stick around, guys. We have a wonderful new sound bath from Lafayette. And he's got a new compilation. So we were talking about it a couple weeks ago. He got on it. He created one. And there's going to be a scan code on his sound bath that you can purchase his compilation. Okay? So when we get that up there, I would love you guys to download that and support. I'm trying to get him to like make a living at sound bathing Lafayette. He's compassion for music. He's got the energy. This last one he did, I fucking love it. I love the vibe he's done. It's getting better. And so please support him because I want him to grow. And let me just say this before I pull a card for Sarah. How did I meet Nina in Lafayette? Actually, Nina was a client of mine a couple years ago. That's how I met Nina. And then I had sessions with Lafayette, and we just developed this closeness. And I said, stop paying me for sessions. I want to mentor you. Okay? So stop paying me. I want to be here for you in Lafayette. So I just began mentoring her. And then when I started Instagram Lives, when I was being resistant of going onto YouTube, because I didn't want to be on YouTube, Nina's like, oh, do you want to be a mod for me? She's like, oh my God. And so she started becoming a mod. And the first time I talked with Lafayette, I said, you need to be some music and, sound bathing and all that. And so it's awesome to see him doing that. So I want him to push it further and start making a living at that. So please, when we do his sound bath and it comes up, scan that QR code on the screen and get his compilation. Por favor. Okay. And Nina has now been doing her readings and, which is, yeah, I want to see them explode, but also be a part of the retreats I create in the future. So, right, Nina, we're gonna bang out a great retreat experience in the future. Okay, Sarah. Okay, interesting over here. King of Swords. How I'm interpreting King of Swords with you right now is that you made a decision and you stood firm on it. Good. Because with the Chariot card, it's saying to you, this is where life begins. This is like, the Chariot card to me is movement, but it's also this regal energy, right? And moving at a very good pace, but with security, right? With a foundation, with a purpose, right? And so this is where you're leading now. There is a purpose now where you're going moving forward, right? And so the Two of Swords come in conjunction saying that you need to understand how you're navigating this. Don't like, okay, well, I let go of this. Like, but where are you navigating though? Where are you driving the show now? Right? So if it's relationships, what the fuck kind of relationship you navigate? Where are you driving to now? Right? Which house are you showing up at for that date? What does that look like? So now it's like you're to be in navigation mode. Ace of Cups is fertility. You're going to be pregnant. Kidding. It's fertility, getting a new idea, right? Getting your creativity flowing, a birth of something new. And so creativity doesn't just mean like you're doing art. Creativity also means a flow of creative ideas, right? A flow of new change in your life and being creative of how you're kind of navigating your life. So you're going to have that burst of like fertile energy, right? And bursts of like something new be giving birth to and just harvesting that newer energy. That's kind of what's brewing on us. But the message is make sure you're navigating now. You step your foot down, you're moving forward, but where are you moving to? And let that creative energy and the inspiration flow the fuck out of you. Okay? And so, so the Four of Wands in reverse. So like, there is an essence of finding a new home, but settling in a new home, right? Or settling in a new space. So it's time to settle in now, right? And settle into a new foundation. Okay, with your experience. And what I think is great too, because it's also your new energy. And the Seven of Pentacles is really kind of saying to yourself, you're a generous person, know that, but don't exhaust it. Understand that generosity needs to be given in return. You need people who are generous around you and finding that balance, finding that home energy. When I say finding that home energy, I mean figuratively too. It doesn't mean like four walls of home, but what is home to you? That's one thing with my partner that I've been saying to him as we've gone through a massive, we've gone through so much that I just saying, it just feels like home to me. When I'm with him, it feels like home. And I want you to understand that as well. And think about what does that mean for you? Okay. Awesome. Great. Perfect. And I think that's perfect. I think that's too because you're laying foundation. So I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect that you're laying foundation. It's a good ritual experience for you. Yeah. And I'm reading and so with Sarah, when I'm reading like as if we never had a session before. I'm reading the cards like you're new, like I don't know you. So that's how the messages always come in when we do this. So it's a good shift. Okay. Okay. Last but certainly not least is Kelly Barrentos or Kelly. I hope it is Kelly or not Kelly. I saw a guy staring at me today at a retirement party. Is he interested? Callie, what kind of question is this? You're serious, right? Or are you being playful? I can look at it in a serious way too. It's just I wasn't expecting that question. And I think retirement party. I'm like, what is that? Cass Glow, good to see you. Welcome in. Okay, let me see about this particular guy. I don't know if I would say interested. I gotta read his energy. He feels confused. I think he was checking you out, but I also think that he also has a wandering eye, Kelly. So I think that if you actually do interact with him, he'll also have a wandering eye somewhere else too. So because I'm seeing it's not just he just like caught your eye, he was also kind of catching other people's eyes too. So there's this Casanova energy. He's like, it gives me kind of a creepy vibe in a playful way. So I wouldn't say interested. I think he was scoping you, but he was also scoping a lot of people. He's got a wandering eye, and so I also feel like he's either has an unresolved relationship too. So maybe he's in a relationship that's not completely resolved or closed, or if he's not completely divorced yet, you know what I mean? So I feel like even now, like having a wandering eye, well, something's not completely settled or a relationship hasn't completed, or he's not quite over a relationship. I just feel it's unresolved of a relationship, but you should totally feel flattered. I mean, that's different. If you want to be flattered, yeah, be flattered because he's scoping you out. I just don't care for him. Kelly, you deserve better. No, definitely be flattered because you're definitely something to look at. But I just feel like his energy, I'm just like, yeah, just be flattered you're getting checked out and take it there and don't involve yourself with him because I feel like he feels like a wandering eye. He feels like that he bounces around a lot, Kelly, okay, thank you for that. But no, be flattered. But you deserve something way better than that energy than him. Because he's got some baggage and he's got some really weird energy, I would say, that you might be like, oh, okay, what is this? But sometimes just accepting the compliment from afar is good enough that we need to give us a push forward to be open to another dynamic. You know what I mean? And I feel like that is coming for you. I really do think that this is to kind of put you in a modality to feel good about yourself, as you should always feel good about yourself, to be opened up to a new relationship. And so I feel like there might be one around the corner actually for you. And I think this is just more of a kind of a sign for you to feel that type of energy. And you should be seeking appreciation in your relationships, because clearly that's what you're looking for, is to be appreciated. So put that out, that you need appreciation to be appreciated as you appreciate others too, that you're seeking that level. And yeah, I feel like you will have a dating experience is around the corner for you too. So totally feel flattered. You know, I get checked out by douchebags all the time. It's like, I won't go with them, but I'm like, yeah, well, thanks for giving me a little pep in my step, you know, but I'm like, yeah, but you're still a douchebag. But yeah, he definitely was scoping you out, you know. But interested in the way you'd want to be interested? No, you deserve better. I would just kind of avoid that. Okay. But yeah, like I said before, I definitely feel a great, you know, a dating experience coming about. I think it's more of a sign that you're going to open up the dating door. So, and just be open to that and know what you need, right? Make sure that you understand you need to be appreciated too, and understand that flow. And this way, when that person comes in, you can welcome it in and the right one in. All right. So good stuff on that, Kelly. Okay. That's it for the readings. Now let's like without further ado, I was let me just make sure I've gone through all of them before we start the sound bath. It's 5 minutes, so stick around, enjoy the wonderful energy of the sound bathing experience. And yes, okay. And again, guys, scan the QR code on the screen when it pops up, and support Lafayette and get his wonderful compilation of his sound bathing tracks and so forth. So you can use that for meditation as well. So here we go. Just stick around. It's going to be 5 minutes, and I'll be back. Lafayette, that was probably one of the best. That one was fantastic. The landscape I get from that sound is impeccable. Wonderful. And guys, again, Nina put the link for Lafayette's. Again, I can't speak every time. Listen, I'm lost. I'm in another plane right now. Put a link again, Nina, in the chat where people can find, if they didn't get the scan code on that chat. Put a link so they can purchase that album because it's wonderful. I mean, there's just a natural. As a musician, you guys probably heard my music. Mine's I've structured, rhythmic music, but it's very complicated to just be unstructured and flow with synths like that. You have to really be in flow to do that simplicity. It's actually quite challenging, and I admire that. And just evoking that emotion is pure based off feeling, and not there's no thinking. That was all feeling. So yeah, wonderful, awesome, and that's why I love that. Love having that a part of my show too. That dynamic is just wonderful. Thank you, Lafayette. Purchase that album. Do it. I recommend it. So it's been wonderful, every guys. So again, I can't even talk. What's the words I want to use? I appreciate every one of you guys for showing up. Please remember, this week is really about bringing the energy within yourself, holding it. Don't just give energy just because. We want to be conscious of the energy we're dispersing to people and understand if they actually are worth the energy we were giving, so we can recalibrate who deserves our time and energy. This is what this week is about. It's going back to the roots. It's Sag season, okay? And we will see you all next week. And I will, Christopher will be back next week for Leading Out Loud. And we are talking about ascension and ascending. And are you choosing to ascend? So that'll be wonderful. And I don't know quite the topic I'll do for next week for this show. Spirit's been having me keeping it rather simple the past few episodes. So that's cool with me. And we'll probably have Chris Reck back on at the end of the month, hopefully. Because last month we had freaking Thanksgiving. My show always falls on a holiday. So we'll have a fun December as well. And again, one-on-one sessions with me, personal sessions, scottcruzpm.com. Please book. The link is in the description below. Again, psychic readings that involve both, phone sessions and Zoom sessions. We talk about past life regressions, trauma healing, trauma discovery, future predictions, trajectory healing, fixing, career, wealth, money, relationships, past life, all the different stuff we get into in a life reading. Also mediumship sessions. So those of you who maybe lost your loved ones and want to connect for the holidays, I'm not trying to be gimmicky here, but it's true. Many people do. Sometimes it's good to have a mediumship session to connect with your loved one as well, if they're not around for this holiday season. I think it's important for me to utilize it to help connect that as well. And also my intuition builder session too is to help you connect with your intuitive abilities and psychic awareness and mediumship abilities, all that stuff above. And so, scottcruzpm.com. And so you guys are all wonderful. And you guys are all amazing. And sometimes when we're talking about these spiritual Karens, I'm almost like I'm preaching to the choir here, because you all are amazing people. Thank you, Cuddle Wing Dragon. You're the reason for the season. I love it. Actually, which reminds me of my song called The Reason, which one of the lyrics in my song The Reason is what is it? How's it go? That no matter the season, there's only one reason, it's love. I'm trying to remember the lyric of my own song, but Lafayette's music's got me in a trance still. So it's very effective. Just don't drive while you listen to that music, because you'll probably drive your spaceship into some water lake somewhere. Don't do that. Listen to it when you're at home. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close with the commercial. I love every single one of you guys, and hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. See you all next week. You're all the gods and goddesses of your own myth. What do you want to create? Much love. I love you. See you next week. Good night, guys.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.